Today we're talking about books to change your life. Now you're probably curious where I came up with such a list. Was it a New York Times article, Goodreads, Washington Post? No. It's from Reddit. Now, Reddit has a reputation of having some unsavory information on it. However, I do think there are some real humans that are still using Reddit, and I recently have been scrolling away on Reddit and I came across a wonderful post in the book subreddit. And it's a question from a user named 1001 Nights that asks, what book has actually caused you to do something? I don't mean changed your worldview or influenced your values. I mean taking a specific action because of a book you read. And I just thought that was such an interesting concept. I loved the conversation that it sparked, and I thought I would bring it to you so we can talk about books that caused you to take actionable steps towards something. And maybe this is a good recommendation list for certain goals that you have in mind. And I just love the idea of picking out a book because it's actually going to make you do something. So the very first one on this list that got me excited is very different from the rest of the list. A lot of the list is obviously going to be nonfiction, but this one is actually a fantasy book. So Sarah 15 talked about Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. So I have read that book, and there's a character in there named Kaladin. And Kaladin is very, very severely depressed. And he is going through some hard times and dealing with some trauma. And he's very depressed. He wants to give up, but he's still trudging along. And this person said, a lot of people don't like these chapters because they drag on. And the earlier chapters where the character is fully resigned can be pretty repetitive. These chapters actually resonated with me pretty hard and my own struggle with clinical depression. Clinical depression is repetitive. It's living through the same thoughts and feeling the same apathy every day for years and years, rationally understanding that you're depressed but being unable to bring yourself to do anything about it. Those chapters felt like a mirror. In later chapters, this character develops a structured approach to surviving his very dangerous and deadly situation. To just keep moving forward thoughtlessly, robotically, horse blinders onto the world. Eventually, just continuing to move forward builds its own momentum, and eventually he's no longer doing it out of habit, but out of active participation. I found myself thinking about that a lot, even years after reading the book, and I've taken that approach to a lot of things in my life. If I ever need to do a thing when I have that don't want to feeling, that would rather just sit and vegetate feeling, I think of just robotically moving forward, mentally unengaged until eventually I'm in the middle of it and engaging with it. I've improved my life in a number of ways this way. That is incredible, and I really think Brandon Sanderson works really hard to make relatable characters, make realistic characters, and deeply feel what the characters would be feeling in their unique circumstances. And since I read this post, I also myself have tried to pick up that habit. There are so many times I'm very lazy, and I love to sit. But I have also found myself using this, like, if Kaladin can do it and he's in a much tougher situation than me, like, just push your way through. You don't have to be fully loving what you're doing, just make yourself do it. And I love that. Now on to some nonfiction. Roland Morweed said Into Thin Air got them into hiking and backpacking, which is fascinating. This is a book by Jon Krakauer, and this is a personal account of the Mount Everest disaster. One of the hikers he was with got frostbite so bad they had to amputate his hand. 5 of the hikers ended up dying. So the fact that that book got this person into hiking and backpacking is funny and unexpected. But hopefully they're doing it in a very safe way. Next one by Elon Died, LOL. Your Money or Your Life convinced me to take a hard look at what I was spending money on and why. I didn't do the full exercise described in the book, but I did significantly change my spending habits and started saving. It seems weird to me now how checked out I was about money and that I had no emergency fund or path to retirement. I think the one they're talking about is by Joe Dominguez and Vicki Robin. And this one's kind of self-explanatory, but one of the reviews says they reread the book, not for its literary value, but for its simple explanations of concrete ways to observe your own connection with the material world. And I feel like I could definitely look at my finances. Actually, okay, I'm realizing how this Reddit post has actually changed myself a little bit. I actually downloaded Rocket Money a few weeks ago, obviously not sponsored. I'm using the free version, but I've been using Rocket Money to track my spending, and holy smokes, when it adds up, like, wow, you've spent $300 on Amazon in June, and it's like June 5th. Yeah, Sleepless Somerville said Marie Kondo's book helped me understand my possessions in a completely new way and got me to get rid of a lot of stuff that I'd been told I needed to hold on to that I actually kind of hated. I just needed someone else to tell me that I'm the boss and no one else's criteria should figure into what I keep and value. I actually think I got rid of that book, but I did used to have it. I never read it. I absolutely could benefit from getting rid of a bunch of stuff. I have a lot of stuff. Not just a lot of books, a lot of items that I probably don't need in my small little apartment. I could use those tips for sure. I'm sure you all know exactly what book they're talking about. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, The Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. I remember when that book became popular and so many people were reading it and talking about if the items that you own bring you joy and you should only be keeping items that bring you joy. I love the sound of that. I really need to put into practice. Uper Doc said 4,000 weeks time management for mortals allowed me to step into retirement. I'm obviously not ready to retire. Well, I'm ready to retire, but it's just not time for me to retire yet. I do have this book on my TBR, but I'm actually more interested in Goodbye Earl's response, which was, my favorite part is when they say to list your top 25 goals, rank them by priority, and actively avoid the bottom 20. Those bottom 20 will only serve to distract you once you hit a road bump tackling the first 5 goals. I absolutely feel like I need to put this into practice. There are things that I feel like if I'm looking at my life goals are top 5 items that I have not worked on in years. Instead, I'm doing like other little things here and there. And should I read it? Let me know. I remember that one also being very big, so I know a lot of people have read it and it has affected a lot of people's lives. My Dog Still Loves Me said they read Shogun and fell in love with Japanese culture and moved to Japan and lived there for 6 years. That's incredible. I have nothing to say about that personally, but I just love that for them. Double Life 304 said, not a book, but Joan Didion's On Self-Respect made me more willing to say no. I declined a promotion at a job I hate with that essay in mind. Wouldn't be me. Give me the promotion. Absolutely. Give me the promotion. Give me the money. I don't think we have to be happy at our job all the time. It's a goal, of course, to get a job that makes us happier. But I don't think you need to be happy at your job all the time. It is a job. Forceful Orange said Atomic Habits got me to start working out consistently, and I changed a lot of things around my house. It helped me be aware of how much your environment plays a part in what you do. I read Atomic Habits and I wanted that for myself. I should probably reread it, but I didn't really try implementing it after I read it, so I just forgot all the information. But I would love that. And talking about how your environment plays a part in what you do, if you could see what's happening on the other side of the camera, I could use that type of information. Haley on Fire said that Wild by Cheryl Strayed helped inspire them to start hiking and long distance walking. I'm up to 12 to 15 miles a day hikes, planning to complete the West Highland Way next year. That's a lot of hiking. A lot of people on here, for example, Prissy Girl Dog, have books that made them stop eating meat or go vegan. 2 books for me to not eat meat: Margaret Atwood, Mad Adam for pork products, and Barn 8 by Deb Olin Unfirst for the chicken and eggs. Oh, I loved this one. Haruna said, I read Fast Food Nation and Don't Eat This Book just as I was starting high school, and it got me to completely change my eating habits, start cooking for myself, exercise more, and lose 70 pounds by my senior year of high school. That's incredible, and I am now interested in those books. I do enjoy a good fast food. Another vote by Miami Vice. That's hilarious. After I read Fast Food Nation, I went a really long time before spending money at a franchise fast food chain again. Ooh, Bold Space Weasel said, after reading Pet Food Politics, I never again fed my cats trash food. They only get the best, which means that the first 5 ingredients need to be meat. That sounds expensive. Lanky Planky said, I read the book The Warehouse and stopped shopping at Amazon, which I did just mention in my emergency TBR jar video. I have that book. I do shop at Amazon too much. I should absolutely read it. That one is actually a fiction story. So if you're looking for a little fiction off of this list, there's another recommendation. It's Becoming a Thing said, I read White Rage by Dr. Carol Anderson, and it was a nonfiction book that laid out every moment in which Black progress was stopped or delayed by angry white people. Everything from the Reconstruction era to the war on drugs. She had a really excellent chapter on voting and how states, usually red, make it so difficult for voters, especially people of color. That always stuck with me, and in 2020 I was compelled to take part in postcard campaigns that reach out to folks who were usually ignored, mostly those who lived out in rural areas and didn't have a lot of access to updated voter info or early voting updates. I don't know why, but access to equal voting has been a weird hill to die on, and I think most of it is attributed to reading Dr. Anderson's book. I've absolutely wondered who is sending the political postcards in the mail. I've thrown away many a political postcard, but I love to see that the people sending them are passionate about what they're doing. And I like the rest of the comment. That's very nice. Transpiration said, I read Crisis of Conscience by Ray France and left a cult. Jimmy B264 says, Stand from the Beginning, ooh, I have that on my TBR, really woke me up and made me ask serious questions of myself about racism and the politics that hold it in place. This and other books like it have helped me open my eyes to what has always been America's deepest shame. Once you see how the system works, you can't unsee it or fail to speak up about it. Law School Loser 1 said, Are we smart enough to know how smart animals are? Prompted me to stop eating meat. And that's not even what the book is about. Animals are just really smart and cool. I know. When I see how intelligent an animal is, and even some of the animals we eat are definitely smarter than dogs and cats, I'm just like, how did we choose? How did we choose who we're eating? One book that I did recently buy because someone said it made them take actionable steps in real life is Outlive by Peter Attia. That one was actually Chandler Ainsley. She read it during her weight loss journey and her goal to get healthier and start moving every day. And she talks about how that book has made her realize if you want to live a longer life, you need to get physically active, you need to strength train, and all sorts of things about that. So I actually did get that one because I could use a little push in that department. So I'm looking forward to reading some books that will help me take actionable changes in my life. And also I just think it's interesting to read the list and see what these books do for people and also what people are looking for when they're picking up a nonfiction book. So very interesting to read. Please let me know what books have made you take actual steps toward change in your life. Let me know if you want to pick up any of the books from this list, and I will also link the Reddit post down below so you can read the many more answers on this post. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.